If you've ever watched a movie that takes place in the corporate world between 1980 and 1999, there's almost guaranteed to be a scene that takes place in what's called the mailroom.
You can't come in here, bozo. Take your crap to the mail slot.
I work here.
If you work during this area, you know exactly the department I'm about to describe. The smell of freshly printed ink, the roar of the office printers, the hustle of this department's employees sending and receiving mail, and those massive envelope carts. Landing a position at the mail services department wasn't glamorous, but it was an essential piece to the success of any major corporation, university, or hospital. The sheer volume that these organizations had in inbound and outbound mail at the time was so much that it required a massive amount of labor and employees. On a smaller scale, startups or family healthcare practices wouldn't have an entire department devoted to their mail. Instead, management placed this responsibility on one or two of their employees, usually their receptionists. So where did the mail services department go? Right around the middle of the 1990s, email became more accessible and accepted by companies. Thus, attaching documents to emails for free instead of paying for printing and postage became the more popular option over time. Well, it's been almost 35 years since the release of The Secret of My Success came out, which was the clip I just showed you earlier, and organizations no longer have a use for mail service departments anymore, right? Although these departments still exist for many large universities, they're mostly obsolete. However, some hospitals and doctors' offices still prefer sending their mail to their patients due to their demographic or HIPAA compliance safeguards. Instead of a mailroom though, they outsource their statement printing and mailing services. Now, not every healthcare facility is comfortable with outsourcing these services though, but keeping these processes in-house is clunky and expensive. Hi everyone, I'm Matt from eTactics, and today I'm going to go over the 3 biggest benefits of statement printing and mailing services. Before we get started though, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking the button below. While you're down there, hit that alert bell icon next to it as well, so when we post new helpful content, you get notified. The first benefit of statement printing and mailing services is that it allows you to redistribute your responsibilities across your organization. Smaller healthcare practices and businesses don't want to lay off their employees, and it's likely that these companies have 1 or 2 people whose entire responsibility is to design, print, and mail their clients' bills. So if you outsource your responsibilities to a statement printing and mailing company, does this mean that those employees will lose their jobs? Well, to simply put it, no. What ends up happening is a redistribution of responsibilities. In other words, you get to train those few employees whose responsibilities used to be mailing statements and invoices on other important aspects of your business. Now, it's likely that there are areas of your organization that are falling behind. That's nothing new, as it's a struggle for many practices and healthcare organizations to stay afloat in some of the aspects, considering that physicians alone work so much that they're often burnt out of their jobs. The reality is that printing and mailing your statements isn't a core duty of your practice, so outsource it to a trusted partner. Second, when you work with a statement printing and mailing vendor, you're offloading a lot of risk. Sure, keeping everything under one roof gives you control over every aspect of the process from design to postage. But no matter how thorough your process is for printing and mailing your statements, you still can't control your employees entirely. In other words, they're going to make a mistake at some point. So what's the risk your employees pose when sending your statements themselves? Sending a bill to the wrong address. There are 2 places specifically that leave your organization susceptible to facing a breach: entering the wrong patient name or address on the design statement, or stuffing an addressed envelope with the wrong documentation. Now, if your staff sends one statement incorrectly, it's not the end of the world. But if you as a physician provided services to an entire behavioral health or long-term care facility, you could end up with a huge fine on your hands because of HIPAA. Statement printing and mailing service providers have a lot of checks and balances put into place to protect you from a HIPAA violation. These workflows ensure that the information on a statement is accurate and that it gets to the right place at the right time. Finally, the next benefit of statement printing and mailing services is that it saves you money. Simply put, if you're not outsourcing your statement printing and mailing services, you're losing money. Let's say your employees send out your statements every week. In theory, within a week or so of the initial sending, you'll receive payment from your patients. However, what happens if the initial address written on the envelope was wrong? Maybe there was a misspelling, it doesn't exist, and/or your patient moved. Each of these scenarios happen often and end up costing you a lot of money. But by outsourcing to a statement printing and mailing service, each of these shortfalls no longer exist. That's because the best of these vendors offer what they call address correction. In a nutshell, This service scans massive databases and online skip tracing methods in order to locate your patient. This service saves you money because it guarantees that what you send through the mail gets to where it needs to in order for you to receive payment. That's it. By now you can definitely see the benefits of outsourcing your printing and mailing services. You'll no longer have to worry about doing everything in-house, and you'll save money in the long run. If you'd like to learn more about statement printing and mailing services, reach out to eTactics. And you already made it this far into the video, so you might as well like it, share it, and comment below. Well, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to our YouTube channel.